everyone, it's Eliana and I have a really quick card to share with you today. And by quick, I mean that I made it really fast. The video is not that fast, but here is the Turnabout stamp set from Concord and 9th. It's called Crafty Turnabout. I do have the template, but I let my friend Melissa borrow it, and so I had to improvise with what I had. So what I did was I took a piece of plastic, and I will put the link in the description. It's just a quilter's template. You can cut it down to whatever size you want. So I cut it down so that it would be as big as possible for the MISTI, so 6.5 by 6.5. I did a crosshatch on the plastic, and then I lined up that line with the back of the packaging, and then I lined up the stamp on the image on the back of the packaging. So I improvised. There is a video on Concord and 9th, and I'll link to it down in the description below, showing you how to line up with their templates. But in the meantime, I had to improvise. I needed to create some videos. The colors I'm using are from Simon Says Stamp: Audrey Blue, Green Apple, Orange Peel, Sunshine, and I'm gonna go ahead and stamp the first turn. And this is a new stamp, so I do have to ink it up a couple of times just to season it. Normally, how you season it is you use an eraser to rub on the stamp so that it gets the manufacturer's film off of it, and I didn't do that, so I thought I would just stamp a couple of times. I am cleaning the stamp in between colors, and then in between you also want to rotate the stamp. So right now I am stamping with Orange Peel, and I wanted to make multiples because I really didn't know what I wanted to do with this card. So what I'm doing is just taking a second piece of cardstock and just laying it on top of the first piece. The first piece is adhered down with repositionable adhesive, but this way you're able to stamp multiples without having to change colors all the time and redoing each turnabout. Now, because I am changing colors between the yellow and oranges over to a different, like the green or the blue, I did use the stamp cleaner just to make sure that all the residue was off, and I'm just going to test it with a scrap piece, and the color looks fine. Sometimes if you don't clean it off well or use a good cleaner, there will be some residue left from one color to another, especially like the reds and the pinks. They do change the color of whatever you're stamping next, so you want to make sure that you clean those well. Once again, I'm lining up that extra piece of cardstock, and I'm just going to continue doing the turns. So for my final color, it is the Audrey Blue. You also want to remember which way you're turning. So if you're going to turn counterclockwise, keep going that way. That way you don't mess up. So here is my pattern. I did not center my cardstock exactly, so there is a little bit of a gap down on the left-hand side. You can see right there, but I am going to trim my panel down so that I have a border around my final card. For my sentiment, I'm going to take the sentiment from this stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. It is called Love You Like, and it has these cute little sentiments that you could add to the word love you. And I'm just stamping the sentiment that says like craft supplies. Now I am using the mini MISTI to do this, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to show you this trick. If you stamp the sentiment and you just push it up like I am doing here, all of the beginnings of the sentiments start in the same spot and they all end at the same spot, so you're able to trim all of these down at the same time, left to right. So I'll show you in just a second. I am removing the stray the stray embossing powder with a dry brush, and now I'm heat embossing my sentiments. To get rid of the anti-static powder, I am using my Ink on 3 towel. So I'm going to start by lining up the very first stamp, image. Sorry, my head's in the way. And I'm just going to line it up with my cut line. So here I'm lining all of the letter L and the S all in one swoop, and I'm able to die cut all of that at one time. So now I can trim each one of these little sentiment strips individually, and now I only have to do 2 sides. This one didn't, for some reason, I must not have lined it up well, so you can see here I can even trim the smallest sliver from a little piece like this and not have a problem doing it. Now, to finish my card, I did take this I Love You die, also from Simon Says stamp. Here's that stamp set I told you about. I die cut the shadow with some Papertrey ink Raspberry Fizz, and I'm just adding a little bit of adhesive to the back of the die. I didn't want to have to cut multiples of this die to create a layered look, so I'm just using some foam squares. I'm trying these out to see if I like them. They're really super thin, and I might be carrying them in my store. So I'm going to give them a try for just a little bit, just to make sure that I like using them. They are super sticky because I can't get them off my finger half the time, but that should mean that it should stay in my project well. The backing comes off easily, so I really do like that. And now I'm going to put this right on my card. Now for the sentiment, I do have this sheet of fun foam that has some stick it adhesive. One side is sticky back and the other side has stick it. And so I can just cut what I need for my little sentiment strips. And then I could adhere it down. There was a little bit of a booger down there, and so I had to use my tweezers to try to get it out. It was just a little piece of the paper backing. The stick it is super thin, so I had to get it off. Now my Love You has a little bit of their, I don't know, their fibers, so I use a dry brush to push those aside. Now I wanted to add some embellishments because I just felt like it needed a little bit more. So I used the coordinating die that comes from Concord and Ninth. It's called Crafty dies. And I created this little brush with the dies that come in that set. And then I still felt like it needed something more, but I didn't want to do sequins or gems or anything. So I actually pulled out buttons. I still have buttons in my stash. I refuse to get rid of them. And I finally got to use them in a card after so long. Do you still have buttons in your stash? If you do, put them in the comments below. Let me know that I'm not the only crazy person that keeps stuff. The inside of the card, I'm adding the double dip notes. And here's another card that I made. Kept it a little simple. I used the Gentleman's Gray from Altenew, and I didn't add any embellishments. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Have a great day. Bye.